So example like eyelashes.
Right.
We have foam ink eyelashes. And everyone talks about, foam ink, so pretty. Not realizing the ink is actually an animal.
Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 5, season 4, Art of Beauty. And today I have a very special guest with me. I have Ash in the house.
Hi, guys.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm okay. How are
You
you?
look so good. You look so fresh.
Thank you.
I feel like
Trying.
I feel like it's appropriate for this specific topic that we're talking about today.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, clean.
That was unintentional though.
Really?
Yeah.
But I feel like you're always so fresh-faced and
Okay. Oh,
love it. I could never. But Ash here, I just have to refer to my notes because you have so many followers that I cannot remember the numbers. But I know on Instagram you have 108K.
Oh, yeah.
On TikTok you have 440K followers. And on YouTube you have 12.4. So you do everything. You're on literally every single social media platform possible.
I try.
So tell us a little bit how you got into fashion, beauty, lifestyle.
Okay, so it actually started initially as a hobby. So I got married 10 years ago. And when I initially got married, we moved to Ipoh, to my husband's hometown. And my corporate background is actually public relations and marketing, comms and
Makes
stuff.
sense.
Yeah. But the job sector for these jobs in Ipoh were very slim. There was basically nothing to do at that time. And I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos like the OGPT gurus, Jacqueline Hill, Catherine Knight.
Love that era.
So when I started watching those videos, I think Ivan was the one that started saying, maybe you should start recording your own videos just for the fun of it. So it started as a hobby. Honestly, did not expect it to grow as much as it has done. And I switched in 2020 to try doing it full time. And it's been going okay.
Yay. So I'm so happy for you. That's amazing. Like, having a career that you love doing and that you kind of work remotely is honestly like...
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yeah. For sure.
So cool. So today we're going to talk a little bit about like clean beauty and sustainability. I know, being in the beauty industry, we get to test out a lot of different products.
Yeah. Almost everything.
Especially for you, I know. So, we come across a lot of different stuff, differently made, differently manufactured. And I think 2024 is like such a big year for all things like clean, because the clean girl look thing, right? So speaking of like clean girl look, what about clean girl beauty, let's say, like clean beauty? What do you think about that? Like, is that a thing? Is it a new thing in your opinion? Is that something you think is going to be, something that we can see more in the future?
Okay. So I would say, if you have never heard of clean beauty before, I would say think of it like this. So, when we have pregnant mothers and they use skincare and stuff, the doctors always say, like, don't use this, only use this. It's just because there are chemicals in certain products that may enter your bloodstream and affect the baby. So that's basically what clean beauty is about. It's about having products that has got basically no harmful substances, sulfates, parabens, that goes into your system and affects your health, basically.
Right.
And clean beauty also contributes a lot to being eco-friendly and environmentally sustainable.
Yes, that's a word.
That's a word. Yeah, so I think if anyone is new to clean beauty, like just think about that. Think about products that you put on your face. Although I know I test a lot of products. Some of them are, some of them aren't. But basically products that you put on your face enters your bloodstream and can potentially affect your health. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think it's impossible to just be completely clean. It's very difficult because, of not just the things we put on our face, like it's just body cream, even things we put on our body, things we eat. Like it's very difficult to just be completely, but you could try.
Yeah.
And like, just like you, I mean, I try my best to use cleaner beauty items, but sometimes you can't help it. Like
you can't. I would say everything in moderation. Like don't overdo it with a certain product. Don't straight away strip your skin dry. And go like all clean. Like you don't want to shock the skin.
Right.
But at the same time, example, if you have hyperpigmentation, there are certain chemicals that will only work for your skin, that you may not find them in the clean beauty spectrum. So yeah, in moderation.
Yeah.
In moderation.
Yeah. So you also brought up things like, it being like sustainable. I think that's a big thing as well, especially
now. It's a big thing, yeah.
And a lot more brands are working to that direction where they want, things to be recyclable, we can refill items now, especially like body care and stuff. So that's a really interesting, I guess, shift in the industry because I feel like a few years ago, it was all about like packaging and nobody really talked about,
I know.
Who cares if it was sustainable back in the day? But now that's all the rage. So how do you think like beauty brands have responded to this shift in like consumers, wanting to be more, I guess, environmental friendly.
Yep.
And also, making the planet a better place. Because everybody wants to recycle. Everybody wants to reuse things, which I honestly think is a good thing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So from my personal experience, I'm honestly not the best experience, best lesson. Back then, like I've been doing this for, I think 9 years now. And back then, I personally did not bother so much about packaging and the cardboard boxes because we get a lot of PR guys. We got a lot of boxes, a lot of plastic. But I think as time goes on, when you, like I would do like one day PR unboxing, I'll open everything up and then I will realize like, oh my God, the amount of crap that I need to get rid of now. It sort of slowly you realize that these kinds of things like I appreciate the brands taking effort to print the cardboards and making it super pretty. But the truth is, at the end of the day, if you're a creator reviewing skincare, makeup, the only thing matters is the product itself. So the whole packaging that comes with it, we really appreciate it, but it's so wasteful.
Yeah.
It's so wasteful. So to the time that sometimes I will, and there are also some brands, they're super generous. So let's say I already have product A, and then 3 months down the road, they want me to talk about product A again. They will say like, hey, I'll send you product A again. So that's the time I'll be like, no, don't send it. I already have it. So it's just trying to be a bit more conscious. And I think it's the whole mindset of, we tend to think like, Allah, this one plastic is going to do what, Yeah. So just imagine if 10 people think like that and 100 people think like that, it's 100 plastic bags. So it's just being a bit more conscious. Once again, in moderation, don't suddenly go like, like no more plastic for life. Like it's practically impossible, but just being a bit more conscious.
Yeah. I think, that's true. Like, I think it's also like a lifestyle change, not just with like your beauty products, but with what you eat as well.
For sure.
All those things, come into play eventually, and you cannot change your whole lifestyle overnight, right?
Yeah.
So do you have any like personal experiences maybe you can share with us that, maybe you've tried a certain clean beauty product or more natural? It doesn't have to be completely clean, but maybe something that you've tried that you actually find works really well for you.
Okay. Yeah. And I can say the brands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, definitely.
So from my experience, one thing, I'll just say this first before I go into this. My skin, touching all the wood in the world, but my skin can sort of lie on any type of.
You're so lucky.
Yeah, I know. Touch wood. Finding all the wood. Okay. So my skin can actually take it. So that's why I may not necessarily see the differences between like clean versus not clean. But what I've noticed with clean beauty is I've tried with a brand called Vintage Wellness and I wouldn't say they are clean, but they are an all natural product. Like the ingredients that they use is all natural. Example, if you have something in our normal skincare that concentrates on hyperpigmentation, so Vintage Wellness has that as an onion extract. Because back in the day, like we Indians, we would do like onion mask and onion hair mask and stuff like that. Yeah, we would actually do that. So they have managed to extract the thingy from the onion extract to put it in to give you a more natural thing. So what I've noticed with that particular skincare was it works, but it takes time.
Right.
So that's the main difference I've noticed with clean versus not clean, natural versus our normal synthetic stuff is synthetic works great if you want like fast results and stuff, because we live in a very fast-paced era and everyone's very impatient, including me. So with clean beauty, it takes time to actually work, but you see the results eventually. And coming back to clean beauty, one of my favorite products is like clean beauty cleansing balms, because they have no fragrances. The oils are very natural on the skin. It's not very harsh and doesn't sting the eye. Very important.
That's very important.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I definitely agree with you. Like, I've tried like a few, cleaner, I would say completely clean, but cleaner beauty products, things that are naturally sourced and derived. Things that I find, like you said, like they're a bit gentler on the skin.
Yes.
But yes, they definitely take a little bit of getting used to as well. Because I feel like there's a difference in formulation as well when it comes to more natural products.
For sure.
But I wanted to ask you, like, for makeup, for example, right? Do you feel like there is a difference between
I know what you're going to. Okay.
Right? Like more natural beauty products.
Okay.
You find like maybe the pigmentation or the formula is not the same as something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think because with makeup, the moment you have it not clean beauty, it's very pigmented.
Right.
It's very long lasting, 24-hour wear, 1 week wear, and all that stuff. But with cleaner beauty, you have things that are much more natural, very natural looking on the skin.
A little bit more sheer as well.
Yes, definitely better for your skin, but it will not last as long as the other brands would, because maybe the pigment is lesser and the basically chemicals that they use are lesser. So it's a pro and con situation. You have to see, like, like let's say if you're doing 2 non-clean beauty products,
right?
Do the other 2 do the other 2 like clean beauty. Don't do all 4
apples to apples. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So for people who don't maybe know, like people are like, so what do they actually put in makeup that is animals? Right?
Okay.
So maybe you could maybe you could share a little bit like what goes into an eyeshadow, like carmine, for example. Like people don't realize what that actually is.
Yeah. So this is something that I've always told even my followers, my friends, my family. Remember, my job here is to just review the product, right? Like I will tell you whether it's pigmented, it's not pigmented, but you are not supposed to follow my advice blindly. You're not supposed to blind buy. Maybe certain things you can blind buy because I do that as well. But you have to research what goes into all these products. Because sometimes you would realize, like I always say this, some products, like I said, I can take a lot of products.
Yeah.
So some products that are agreeable to my skin may not be agreeable to somebody else's skin.
True.
I think I had one eyeshadow palette. Can't remember which brand. It was perfect on my eye, but I had another friend had received the same palette, tried it, and she had like an eye infection. So, and then we realized that there are certain ingredients that maybe she is not
allergic to.
And all that stuff. So, example, like eyelashes.
Right.
We have faux mink eyelashes. And everyone talks about, faux mink, so pretty. Not realizing the mink is actually an animal. And it actually comes from the mink. It's actually wearing animal's hair, which is a bit creepy. So, I mean, it is a bit
if you think about it, it's like, okay.
Yeah, so they basically keep this mink in like a cage and then they wait for them to shed off, which sounds very gruesome. So it's just putting into research, like taking the time to learn what goes into these products and learning actually what works for your skin. I think is very important, like being well informed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because like even for me, I'm really interested in like beauty history. And like if we look back like decades before, like it's crazy to think like how far we've come. But
for sure,
I don't know, 40, 50 years ago, like it was common, guys, like to put animal products into your beauty products, makeup, skincare, fragrances especially. I know like once upon a time they would actually put like a civet derived essence into perfume.
Yes. Like get them to last longer.
To get them to last longer and kind of give them that more, musky, animalistic scent. Which I think nowadays you're not allowed to anymore.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so because all those things now are considered, animal cruelty, and
for sure,
not many people want to support that, right? Yeah. So what do you think of like brands now who are going more like vegan, for example? Like I'm sure there are a lot of people who are big on that, and maybe, do you think there's a big market for people who are going specifically for more vegan brands or brands who maybe don't test on animals?
100%. I think one of the reasons why last time, I'm not justifying it, but just one of the reasons last time they used to do animal testing is maybe because there was no other way to test it. There was no other way to see this product is agreeable and not. Now, I would think that our technology has advanced so much, we basically can create anything, which is scary.
Yeah.
But there shouldn't be an excuse to still be doing animal testing in this day and age. If we are always talking about, let's say, women's rights and men's rights and rights for certain groups and ethnicity, rights for animals is super, super important as well. And I just think with our technology now, you shouldn't be testing on animals.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. As an animal lover,
no, not at all. Not acceptable at this point. Maybe I know some brands are trying to wean it off completely. Just wish they need to do it a bit faster because like just join the whole vegan and
I feel like animal cruelty is probably like one of the main things I look for in beauty products. Like just as long as they are cruelty free, I'm pretty much on board. It doesn't have to be like, again, completely clean. But for me, I feel like that's a very important aspect of if I were to buy a product or not, right?
For sure, 100%.
Yeah.
Because if brand A is able to do it completely, why can't brand B? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But I do see a lot more, newer indie upcoming brands.
For sure.
I feel like are really putting in the effort to, make that kind of difference.
Yes, exactly.
And it's interesting how their formulations are also quite up there if you compare it to more traditional brands. I don't want to say any specific brands, but you would think like these bigger companies would have the means to do it because they have a whole R&D team to execute.
Exactly.
But for some
reason, it's just taking that effort, actually. It's just taking that leap of, let's not do this anymore. That kind of a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a given. Like you have to change so many different formulations. I think people also don't realize like how difficult it is to, for example, like change a formula after it's been rooted for X number of years.
For sure.
Like to redevelop and reformulate takes 100% time.
100%. Yeah. But I just also think in this day and age with everything moving so fast, companies also have to be able to change. Yeah. Like I think change is everywhere. Like today there's a trend, tomorrow there's a different trend. Yeah. So equally, although definitely difficult for the company to switch here and there, but yeah, they should.
Yeah, and also like I feel like now with skincare, there's a lot of B Corp certified brands as well.
Yep.
Which I've read, and that's mainly basically like how they treat their employees, how they source for their ingredients.
For sure.
I feel like a lot of people now are more aware. A lot of consumers are more exposed to what they're actually buying and what they actually are supporting. I feel like back in the days where like our grandparents or even my mom, like they were not aware because they, if someone sold them a lipstick, it's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Nobody really took the time to understand like where these ingredients were sourced
for sure,
right? Or what actually goes into the product.
I think it's because information back then was not that accessible as now. It would be like, I can basically
just Google it.
Yeah, I can just sit at home and find out. And it's a good thing because it holds both consumer and brands accountable.
Right.
So because we have accountability, I think that it has changed a lot. Like brands have become a bit more aware, like not only making sure that their ingredients are like created properly, but also sourced correctly from proper sources.
Yep.
And equally, like employees treated well in companies. The employee is going to come out and then do TikTok stories.
Exactly.
Like when I worked with brand X, this is part one.
I feel like, but then again, like I feel like it's such a transparent day and age where people have, the platform to actually go out.
Exactly.
And I don't want to say like expose, but it's in a way
it's
sort of.
there. So it just holds everyone accountable. You meet the brands, which is an amazing thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's cool. But for people who maybe don't know, like how would you, for example, like if you're going to buy like a product and you read the ingredients, for someone who's maybe new into beauty or skincare, like are there any specific ingredients you personally avoid, or are you just kind of like, I'm good with anything? Or
So I think with the ingredient list, I'm learning myself as well.
Yeah.
So I would say stay away from like the basics like parabens, sulfates, and a couple of other stuff. But if you want to make it a bit more simplified, if you go to Sephora, they have a whole clean beauty section. Mm-hmm. They have a logo that looks like a leaf.
The green
round thing. So they make it super easy for you to identify clean beauty products. So if you're still new into it, definitely first of all, research. Second of all, if you want to start buying, look for the brands that have this logo in Sephora. And also research on the brand themselves. Like, once again, don't blind buy.
Yep.
Research on the brand because in the end of the day, you're putting it on your face. Like, if you want to check the ingredients in your McD burger, make sure you check your skincare too.
Yeah, totally. And also, like, I think for people who are also new, they might not really understand. Again, it's quite a lot. It's intimidating when you first try reading.
I'm learning myself, for sure.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But, a lot of people don't know, like, the first ingredient, like, in the ingredients is the main.
Most,
Yeah, so that is basically the main
largest component in your skincare.
In your skincare.
And a lot of it would be like H2O, water.
Water,
Yeah, so they wouldn't realize,
you buy water.
It's mostly water.
So I think, it's important for people like you, especially because you have such a big following. And a lot of people don't actually realize how to actually read ingredients. They're like, sometimes like people, brands market things like this is infused with whatever natural ingredients and all these expensive
and it'll
oils.
be the tiniest percentage, and then And then you would realize that, oh, this is why the product isn't working.
Right, because it's actually like 0.1.
No, it's the tiniest bit. So
it's really, really important, I guess, to know how to kind of read the ingredient list as well.
I know it can get overwhelming.
It is overwhelming, especially when you have like 50.
100%.
Yeah.
So what I will always suggest is if the ingredients are becoming a bit more confusing, like read reviews from people, read like clean beauty blogs that they explain in like layman terms. I think that'll be easier to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, like you mentioned, parabens, sulfates, phthalates. Yeah. We see that a lot in makeup and
hair care,
especially. And I think like, people, are familiar with these terms, but they don't necessarily know. And I know there's a lot of research still and kind of like, people saying like, oh, it's not really a big deal. It's just a preservative. But some people are really kind of like trying to cut that out of the system because they say, it could potentially lead to, defects in their reproductive system and things like that, which is honestly, that's a whole different...
It's a whole thing. When I was trying to read up, I looked at all the potential things and cancer was was the main thing. And even like fragrances for people that are asthmatic, not good at all. And apparently talc.
Oh, yes.
Not good for your lungs.
Exactly. Talc. We were like, always like, oh, okay,
here we are blowing our setting powder.
Exactly.
For like, a whole transition, like,
oof. Yeah, exactly. We're like inhaling it. So it's cool that now even a lot of powders are talc-free now, which is insane to me because you would think powders are basically talc, right?
Yeah.
And, things like, not just that, but things that you put on your lips, like especially I feel like, because, when you eat or when you...
Exactly.
You basically eating your lipstick. Yeah.
Just make sure like the products that you put near your eyes and your mouth are clean.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
So that's so interesting because like when you actually think about it, there's like a whole new world of clean beauty, sustainability and all that. But let's talk a little bit more about like eco-friendly, sustainable brands, right? So I know brands like Body Shop, L'Occitane, like they are big into, recycling everything, into refilling, and bringing your own bottles.
Yes.
We love that. Yes. I see that a lot in skincare. I don't necessarily see it as much in...
Right. I think I don't know, maybe like, I think recently we've been seeing a bit of like refillable bottles, like let's say from Fenty and stuff like that. But I think with makeup, we still have not seen the big leap of refilling your packages versus getting a whole new bottle or a whole new thing. So
maybe with powders, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. Oh yeah, powders, yes, but let's say blush, maybe your contour and stuff like that. We still don't see that leap there. But one thing I love about Body Shop is they have this reuse. They basically take all their plastic bottles, they mush it down, and then they make like combs and and your soap
thingies.
And it makes so much of sense to actually see it back in the store.
Yeah.
And I think for Body Shop, most of the things that they have there, their stands and stuff, everything is recyclable. So it's been used before.
Yeah, so it's not just the product, but it's actually
upcycled, which is amazing.
And it goes back into the store, like their aesthetic, like the things that you actually can see and touch and feel, which honestly, but then again, I feel like Body Shop has been doing it, as I recall. They were one of the first.
One of the first,
I believe.
Sure. Yeah, one of the first.
The pioneers. And
yes.
Yeah.
One of my most favorite things that they've done is the refillable bottles. Because I'll go through their
the body wash.
Yes, the body wash like nobody's business. And I love that you can just although yes, I understand. Like in the beginning days, I'm like, oh my God, I gotta keep this bottle, take it back to the mall. It's a bit more harder, but when you do it, you realize like, oh, okay, it's just being a bit more conscious. I think that's so important.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we talk about clean beauty, sustainability. I know you're also very passionate about inclusivity,
100%.
diversity,
100%.
Yeah. So maybe you could tell us a little bit like, in this day and age, for someone like you, right?
Yeah.
You try so many different products, different brands.
Yeah.
What do you see? Is there a big difference, for example, for when you first started, to like now? How do you think brands have maybe evolved or changed throughout the years?
I think 100%. 100%. When I first started, I think there were barely brands out there that had shades like the basic foundation shades for like deeper skin tone for the Indian community. Yeah. I think that has definitely grown over the years. It's definitely grown. You definitely have brands coming in with more colors that is exclusive for everyone. It started definitely with Fenty Beauty.
Yeah.
Like she was the trailblazer.
Yeah, I know. Something like that.
And I think after that, it definitely got better. But I would definitely still say we're in 2024. I think every brand out there has to be inclusive. So this is what I've learned. I don't know if this is controversial to actually say this out loud, but I will say this. If it is, just cut it out, guys. Okay, so what I've learned over the past with some brands, why they don't bring in deeper skin tone shades is because they might think that there's no buying power. Like it does not get bought off shelves. There may not be like sales written. But I can assure you, we Indians have deep pockets.
Yeah.
I can assure you, like that you have to see the way we shop for saris and gold is crazy. I think it's just the information has not reached them to know. Example, let's say brand A has got deeper skin foundation. So because the information does not reach them and they're so used to seeing the normal brands, example, Fenty, MAC, Bobbi Brown, they may not know that there are different brands that have friendlier skin tones. Like now Lancome has come up with different skin tones. And we have Laura Mercier, we have NARS and stuff. So I think it's just the point of information reaching them. So it comes back to how brands see it as well. Like don't only see the fair skin shades, see the deeper skin shade, because we just want to feel included at the end of the day.
Of course. And I feel like, I mean, that's especially if you're coming out with foundations and things, but
yes,
not just foundations, but even things like eyeshadow and blush.
Oh, yes.
Bronzers.
Please don't make it so light.
Right? I would think, like for someone who, for me, I've always been able to find it. So I can't say I can relate, but I can understand how it would feel.
Yep.
To be really frustrated. Like if you like a formula, for example.
For sure.
You can't find a shade that works.
For sure.
Because it's a bit too light.
I know.
It looks ashy.
I know.
That would be so frustrating. So
it looks ashy on ash.
I love that. But like, for example, blush and bronzers.
Yeah.
You see like, now they're trying to make, I guess, things that are more complementary for deeper skin.
Okay. So what I've noticed is when the brands do launches, let's say in America, there are actually deeper colors, but it's just that colors don't come to Malaysia.
Right.
So I think it's just, once again, comes back to maybe their buying power and all that stuff. So, but I still feel if it's introduced and information reaches the target audience, it will definitely sell out for sure, because we are also learning. Like I think makeup in the Indian community has also changed over the years. Like in the beginning, we were all so used to the idea of, okay, just use the MAC foundation, use the MAC powder and you're done.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about blush, about bronzer, about contour. So everyone's still learning. And it's nice to have products that are accessible within Malaysia itself versus having to privately order them online. Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Yeah. Do you think like maybe local brands should look into that? Because I mean, obviously our demographic is so diverse, especially here in Malaysia, Southeast Asia, let's just say. We have such a diverse group of people with different backgrounds, different skin tones, different skin types.
Yes.
And do you think maybe more ASEAN brands, for example, should, do a little bit more R&D, a little bit more reviews with people who are not necessarily in the majority category of, light to medium skin?
Yes, for sure. Okay, so this is something I learned on my trip to Prague with Dermaco. So Dermaco basically took us to their office and we did an exercise of creating our own foundation shade. I'm not even kidding you, okay? So they basically start off with I'm just giving everyone the idea of how foundation shades are made, but once again, not justifying the brand's actions. So you start off with a white base, like in a cup, you have this much of white base, and then you play with pigments that are yellow, red, and black. So you're mixing. So you got to mix until you get your shade color. I was the last person to finish because it was so hard to get it to my skin type. My skin tone, especially, so hard. The pigments it was not easy at all. And I think at the end of it, so we started with a volume, like a liquid volume of this much. I had doubled the volume when I ended.
Wow.
Because it took that much of pigment to go into the foundation to get it to my color. So I can understand the struggle with coming up with deeper skin tone shades. I understand it's not easy. Definitely for sure not easy, but not an excuse not to do it. But definitely I think brands are still coming out, because I think recently I saw Mai's foundation. She's a local brand and she introduced, I think, like 4 new deeper skin tone colors, and I've ordered them.
Ooh.
So I'm excited to try. So it's nice to see things that are accessible to our local market. Yeah.
Right. I think, it's slowly becoming a bit more accessible and kind of like a new norm.
Yes.
But I do agree that there is definitely room for improvement and
definitely
faster room for improvement.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, again, a lot of people don't realize like just because you can make a foundation in, for example, like a lighter color, it's not necessarily the same formula.
No, the lighter color is so easy to do.
Yeah, it's a
drop of red, a drop of and you're done.
Exactly.
And then the deeper you were there mixing it for hours, I tell you. Even I think because I think I was the only brown skin person in the Dermoco trip. So everyone was like, oh my God. It's so hard. And I think they mentioned something along the lines, yes, it's actually very hard to make deeper skin type. So I'm wondering how Fenty really did it.
I know. She must have an amazing RDT.
For sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's so fun talking to you, actually, because I feel like you have so much knowledge and information about the industry, and you're so hands-on with everything that you do. I love watching your videos, by the way.
Oh, I love your videos too.
Thank you so much.
I love your makeup videos.
Oh, thank you. But I feel like you're just so down to earth. It was a pleasure speaking.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on the show and talking and sharing a little bit about, your experiences with, clean beauty, sustainability, and also diversity, inclusivity.
Definitely.
I really appreciate it, guys. If you haven't yet, do subscribe to
Thank you, guys.
On YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
I always tell them, like, I can talk for hours. So anyone who's calling me on podcast has to be like really, really careful.
But it was a pleasure having you. I'm so glad you're on the show.
Thank you.
And I can't wait. I can't wait for this video to come out.
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people will learn a lot of things.
Thank you.
From you especially. So, and thanks, Ash, once again.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you so much.
Podcast with me. And that's it from us for this episode. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.